There are only two things that Chicago Bears fans should do on Sunday. Number one, don't go to the game at Soldier Field. You want to send a message to the McCaskies, you do it with money, meaning the money you don't spend to go to the game. Of course, I'm talking to Bears fans, amalgamation of morons if there ever has been one. So of course you're going to go and you're going to cheer. Oh boy. Number two, since you are absolutely going to go because you're not smart enough to realize how much you're contributing to the problem, the mediocrity of the McCaskey way, by continuing to fork over more money for an organization that doesn't deserve it. Number two, since you can't stop yourself with number one, you could at least do the right thing, which is throw your support behind the team that deserves it on Sunday. And that is the Detroit Lions. Let's go Lions! Let's go Lions! And I know, I can already see it. The flaming fingers are ablaze. How could you call yourself a Bears fan and you're cheering for the opposing team, let alone a division rival at that? Well, that's very simple. There are several reasons for that. Number one, this team is not good, and we know it's not good. The only positive that can come out of this season is Justin Fields' growth and development as an NFL starting quarterback. Am I right? Yes. If your focus is on winning games that mean shit, if you want to win some games so you can be a mediocre team, then your priorities are in the wrong place, and I get to question your true fandom. You're focusing on the wrong things, short-term, finite things that don't matter in the grand scheme of things. You've got to play the long-term game here. The only thing that matters is the long-term game. The long-term game is Justin Fields. Henceforth, since that's the only thing that matters, you all know this as an unequivocal truth, that Matt Nagy is a numbskull. Matt Nagy must go. It is time to fire Matt Nagy. It would also be nice if you fired Ryan Pace. It would be a great time to fire Ted Phillips as well, but we got to take baby steps here. Fire Matt Nagy is the first most likely thing to happen. Fire Matt Nagy is the thing that should have already happened. Sitting at 1-2 with a couple of embarrassing losses and a joke-ass win and an abomination of a debut for your first-round pick rookie quarterback, fire Matt Nagy needs to happen now. The sooner, the freaking better. Do you really want Matt Nagy to be able to hang around just long enough to where he could ruin Justin Fields this year? Because to be clear, that is what will happen. That is absolutely what will happen if you win some meaningless games. And let's be clear, the schedule right now only gets stiffer for the Bears after this Lions game on Sunday. Yes, I know the Bears have never fired a coach in the season, blah, 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 blah. There's a first for everything. You get what I mean? And the more games they lose and the worse they look, the quicker you get to Matt Nagy being fired. So why in the fuck would you root for this Bears team to win? You might say to yourself, I want Justin Fields to have a great game. Okay, fine, I'm with you. I want him to play well. Because that's what the future of the next several years is tied up into. It all rests on his shoulders. But he could play well and Matt Nagy still get fired. There is absolutely no positive thing that could come out of the Bears winning on Sunday. Only negatives. Only positives can come out of the Bears losing on Sunday, especially if they get embarrassed by a divisional rival in Soldier Field like the Detroit Lions. Of course, because it's the Chicago Bears, you're stuck in this quandary of, well, they've got the rookie quarterback, so you want them to win, but at the same point in time, if they win enough, Matt Nagy's retained, and you know that's dangerous and hazardous for Justin Fields and the organization long term. Meanwhile, you can't exactly call for him to fucking tank because what are they going to do? Improve their draft position in the second and third round? Remember, they don't have a first round pick. And that ain't the ultimate son of a bitch catch-22 of being a Bears fan. I don't know what the hell is. So looking ahead to this game on Sunday, enough about that soapbox. Real fans want the Bears to lose on Sunday. Real fans do not want this team to win, period. For the Detroit Lions, Bears fans are probably saying, well, this is a chance to get a win. Yeah, it's going to be an easy one. Yeah, the Lions are thinking the same thing, because while they're 0-3 to start the year, and you could say, it's just the Lions being the Lions, let's look at this. Their first 3 opponents were San Francisco, Green Bay, and Baltimore. Green Bay being a road game. It took a missed penalty on a delay of game at the end, and a 66-yard field goal that doinked in after hitting the crossbar from Justin Tucker for the Ravens to win that game. That's what it took to win 19-17, was a 66-yard NFL record-setting field goal attempt that doinked off of the crossbar and went in order for the Lions to not be coming in here at 1-2. Not to mention that in week 2, they did have a 17-14 halftime lead on Green Bay on Monday night. Don't forget, in week 1, they were getting clobbered early by the 49ers, but then they came storming back, made it a 1-score game, and had a chance to potentially tie it late. So Dan Campbell's team is not good, but they fight hard, they compete, and they've been in all 3 games. And could at least say to themselves, there's some fluke bullshit away from at least being 1-2, which is the same record the damn Bears are. And the Lions overall as a team have certainly looked better so far this year than the damn Bears have. They're busting kneecaps even if they're not getting W's in the win column. They have a defense that's shown some improvements. They're getting a little more pressure on quarterbacks compared to last year. They're about average against the run, which is a big improvement compared to last year. Offensively, with Jared Goff, they lack the weapons around him to make big explosive plays. You look at their top 2 receiving options right now. It's their tight end, TJ Hockenson, and their running back, DeAndre Swift. Not ideal to have your top two weapons in the passing game be a tight end and a running back. I'm just saying. So this is an offense that can struggle to hit the big explosive plays. Meanwhile, for the Bears, they got a first energy fucking last week at the hands of the Cleveland Browns. The only skid marks in Cleveland were the Chicago Bears. In First Energy Stadium, they got lit the fuck up. Justin Fields had a nightmare-ass first start. Typical Nagy numbskull stuff. I'm not going to adjust my production. I'm not going to customize my scheme around my young quarterback and his athletic talents and skills. I'm not going to put him in a situation to minimize his weaknesses and maximize his strengths. Why in the fuck would I do that? That would be competent offensive play calling. And I don't do that because I'm a numbskull! The Bears lost 26-6 and shouldn't even be that close. If Baker midfield would have hit a couple of key throws, it could have been a 40-6 game easily. And they had other mistakes where they shot themselves in the foot. So the Bears fans, you know you're going to hang on to, well, the defense wasn't that bad. The defense, by comparison to the offense, looks good. Yes, but that's not saying shit. The Bears have scored a whopping 33 points on offense in 3 games. That defense that you're holding on to gave up 34 against the Rams, 26 here against the Browns, and even looking at the Bengals game, they got a couple of Burrow boners and still almost found a way to screw the pooch on that one. It's not breaking out the anointing oil on this Desai defense because they haven't been good either. They just haven't sucked nearly as much hind tit as the offense. The perspective matters. So Bears coming in, all types of questions, kind of a nightmare scenario, wondering if you're on the brink of the teetering point of this season falling apart really quickly. In terms of the keys to the game for Detroit, number 1, avoid turning the ball over. The reason the Bengals lost to the Bears in week 2 is because of those Burrow boners. If they don't turn the ball over like they did on 3 consecutive plays, they probably beat the Bears. No question. Don't turn the ball over. Don't give the defense a chance to get some momentum. Don't give them a chance to change field position. Give the ball back to the Bears offense with short field position. Because then the Bears are just going to paper cut you to death with a bunch of field goals because, God forbid you actually convert, great opportunities into touchdowns. So don't turn the ball over. You have to get the slot wide receiver going, whether it's Amon-Ra St. Brown or whoever the case might be. You got to get them going against the Bears' nickel-dime coverage units. Those coverage units are soft. You've got to go after them. Need a 25 combined carries minimum, I think, for DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams. You look at last week's game against the Ravens, it's about what they had, which is what I think in part helped put them into position to win, help balance out their offense a little bit. The Bears are beatable on the ground. The Browns had that 1-2 punch of Hunt and Chubb last week that really did some damage on the Bears. The Lions got to watch the film and try and incorporate some of those things. Granted, they don't have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, but you look at this, you want to be able to run the ball against this Bears defense, and they can be had on the ground. And you got to bring the heat on defense. Look at what the Browns did last week and say, even if you can't get pressure with your front four, like, blitz the fuck out of them. And it doesn't matter if Andy Dalton or Justin Fields is starting, frankly. It doesn't matter. Get some pressure. This Bears offensive line cannot hold up. We certainly saw that last week. And Matt Nagy's not going to adjust to anything that you're doing. So determine your game plan, start with it, stick with it, you'll do just fine. In terms of Chicago, key number 1, lock Matt Nagy in a broom closet in Hallis Hall. Key number 2, see key number 1. Key number 3, see number 2, see number 1. Hockey's a numbskull. But if you actually give a crap about the Bears trying to win this game, and I don't know why, you're only delaying the inevitable and making things worse. You got to get after Jared Goff early, because when you get him off his spot and you get him off balance, he gets into trouble. And the Lions don't have the great weapons to be able to bail him out. And you got to get the ball downfield on offense. Somehow, some way, you got to be able to take some shots down the field. You got to get some big explosive plays. They didn't have them in week 3. They didn't have them in week 1. If the Bears have any chance at all of winning this game, they need some big explosive plays. They need to get guys like Robinson and Mooney actually involved in the game. Think about all those people that were talking about how much of a, breakout star in fantasy Darnell Mooney was going to be in year 2. Good luck on that one. But again, as I look at this game, like, the Bears are favored, and I frankly don't know why. You could say, well, it's a home field advantage. Well, the Bears aren't very good at home. They almost lost to the Bengals in week 2. Meanwhile, you look at the Lions and you say, yeah, they're 0-3, but look at the quality of opponents that they've had and look at the results of their games versus what the Bears have had. I'm sorry. In a real world, the Lions should at least be an even money pick'em contest, or the Lions should be slightly favored. I'm picking the Lions here. Doesn't matter whether the Fields or Dalton starts. Results aren't going to be much different, which is exactly why Justin Fields should continue to be the starter. You've got to let the kid learn and grow. You've got to, if anything else, continue to lose so you can get Matt Nagy the fuck out of the door as quickly as possible. But the Lions are on the precipice here. If they were able to do what they did last week against Baltimore and just failed to seal the deal, like Lions gonna Lions type of stuff, now they're in a spot where I think they've got the confidence. They know that they can go out and win a game. And I think Bears fans are, certainly looking and saying, hey, recent history suggests the Bears are going to dominate the Lions. Well, yeah, but they split the season series last year. I like the Lions in this matchup. I'm picking the Lions to win 23-20, not just because I'm doing what a real good Bears fan should be doing, which is rooting for Detroit this week, which is absolutely the case. It's also because I think right now, frankly, they're the better football team. They're playing better football, and the records aren't necessarily showing that. Let's go, Lions!